Good morning, class. This is Miss Erickson. We're just going to review a little bit of background knowledge before we get started on our study about plants and animals. And we're going to take a closer look at the parts of a plant. Some of the things that we should know are that A, all plants and animals, including humans, are alike in some ways and different in others. We also should know that all plants and animals, including humans, have internal parts and external structures that function to keep them alive and help them grow and reproduce. We also should know that humans can better understand the natural world through careful observations. One of the things we would like to examine a little bit closer are the parts of a plant before we move forward. There are 6 main parts to a plant. There's a flower. The flower of a plant has many parts. Some flowers make fruit while others are poisonous to eat. All flowers make pollen. The pollen is released into the wind or gets stuck on insects. When the pollen reaches other flowers, new flowers are made. This is how reproduction happens for flowering plants. The reproduction in flowering plants is called pollination. Another part of a plant is the stem. The stem supports the plant so that it stands upright. Some stems have wood in them so they are better able to support bigger and heavier plants like trunks of a tree. The stem also has many thin tubes that carry water, minerals, and food up the roots. The stem is like a transportation highway, similar to an animal's veins and arteries. Without the stem, the flower and leaves would never have the nutrients or water they need to accomplish their functions. Another part of the plant is the leaves. The leaves are most of the plant's food, where most of the plant's food come from. The leaves soak up the sunlight and use water and carbon dioxide to make sugar, which is food for plants, and oxygen. The plant keeps the sugars and releases the oxygen through stomatas. Stomatas look much like little mouths that work like our mouths by opening and closing in exchange for oxygen and carbon dioxide. The process of making sugar, plant food, and oxygen is called photosynthesis. So let's move on to the roots. The roots of the plant are usually underground. In this picture here, it looks like it might have been above ground, but they're actually low below the soil in most cases. Roots soak up water, vitamins, and minerals from the soil so that a plant has plenty of food and nutrients. Roots also help anchor the plant in the soil so that it doesn't fall over. The type of roots of a plant depends on the environment the plant lives in. Some roots spread out and are just under the surface. This is an adaptation some plants make it if the plant is in a dry environment and needs to soak up as much water as possible. On the other hand, others grow long taproots to go deep inside the soil because they live in an environment with a lot of wind or erosion and need to be tightly anchored to the ground. Most plants have a fruit. The fruit has seeds in it that the plant uses as an adaptation to spread its offspring or seeds. Some of the sweet and fleshy because the seeds are intended to be eaten by an animal and go through the digestive system to be pooped out. So fruit is adapted not only to be fleshy or sweet so that the animals won't touch them. This way it is left alone and can fall to the ground. The fruit decomposes and the seed is left with materials to feed off and thrive. These types of fruit tend to be poisonous or cause upset stomachs so that animals tend not to eat the seed. And finally, the plant produces seeds. The seeds of a plant are the fully fertilized egg of the plant. It's the plant's offspring. There are 2 types of plant seeds: flowering, which are seeds coming from a flower, and conifers, which are seeds coming from cones like pine cones. The seeds are released and fall to the ground to germinate and grow into new plants. Without seeds, the plant species would eventually die out. Okay, class, I hope you took good notes, and we will look at this again tomorrow as we continue our study.